Story time. So I've been deeply wanting certain things in my life, right? Feeling frustrated about why I'm not seeing movement in certain areas of my life. And this morning, after church, I just felt like I needed to read his word. And I didn't know where. Right now I'm reading through Genesis, but I felt like I needed more meat than just story time. Which he can speak through story time, but I didn't have the mental capacity to be in Genesis right now. So I started flipping through Proverbs because there's so much easy wisdom in Proverbs. And as I'm flipping through Proverbs, there's so much good stuff that I'm getting. So just continue to keep flipping, and I'm just reading a lot of the things that I've underlined in the past. And I think that's a really good way to get easy, quick reminders about who God is and what he says. But anyways, was flipping through Proverbs, and then right after Proverbs is Ecclesiastes. And I read a verse and I was like, oh, okay, that's for me. Ecclesiastes 6:9, and it says, enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. I've been so caught up on focusing on these things that I want and that I don't have yet, that I'm diminishing the things that I already do have, that God's already doing in my life. And it was this moment of oh my gosh, I've been so ungrateful. There's a difference between wanting certain things in your life and dreaming and going after them, and those things actually bringing you frustration and discouragement to what's happening already in your life. And that's when you know when you've slipped into being ungrateful. And so I was like, oh my gosh, Lord, I am so sorry for how ungrateful I've been. You've done so much good, even in just the past 6 months. But I'm so focused on these couple things that I really want in my life that I feel like is my next step, that it's taking away from my present joy. Because that's what ungratefulness does. It makes you feel like what you have right now isn't enough. So then what you're living in right now isn't going to be enjoyable because you've already convinced yourself that it's not enough. So if you go through your days ungrateful, it's not going to feel great. It's going to suck because you've already told yourself that what you have now is not great. So it's you have to keep going through this thing until these things arrive. But maybe God wants you to be content with what's right now, because really you are super blessed. And even if he gives you those things that you want, you're probably then going to move on to what's next, rather than being grateful for what he's given you. So it turns into this cycle, which is why he probably wants you and I to be grateful for what we have right now, so that when the things that we want come later on, we're still in this same position of being grateful regardless of if those things come. So when they do come, we're just grateful. We're not then moving on to what's next. It's like a breath of fresh air. So what has God already done for you? And what are you grateful for?